Coming up on PAC News, a climate survey on Loyola's campus. We'll tell you what faculty and staff are saying.
And Facebook on Capitol Hill. Mark Zuckerberg faces lawmakers. We'll have all the details and tell you how you can secure your data.
Hello, I'm Sean Brennan.
And I'm Abigayle Lista. The results of the climate survey on Loyola's campus just released.
The survey, administered by Rankin and Associates, measured satisfaction of faculty, staff, and students. We go live now to Nick Ryman for more. Nick, what did you learn?
Well, guys, the survey results show bleak numbers for Loyola, with 64% of faculty and 65% of staff responding they looked at leaving in the past year. But on the flip side, over 80% said they're happy at Loyola. I talked with University Senate Chairman Justin Nystrom about what these numbers mean for the school.
Loyola is a great place to work, and I think one of the things in those numbers that you saw with the faculty is if 65% of the faculty were thinking about leaving, they're thinking about leaving with a really heavy heart because they really want to stay here.
And the numbers came as part of the university's campus climate assessment, which for years looked at the university looking to get hard data to make decisions going forward. Nystrom said the decisions that resulted in these bad numbers came from previous administrations, and that interim provost David Borofsky is doing a much better job. Borofsky agreed, telling me these numbers shouldn't be seen as a surprise. And just moments ago, actually, from the Department of Counseling and the chairman of Psychological Services, Aaron Davis and Thomas Foster, they sent out their own email to faculty and staff expressing their own dissatisfaction with the results of the survey and saying they're going to send out their own. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Nick. To see the full results of the survey, check your Wolf Mail.
Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg is on Capitol Hill today, answering lawmakers' questions about users' privacy. This is the first time Zuckerberg will personally sit for questions from Congress. Kristen Holmes is on Capitol Hill with more.
Good morning. Well, we are just a couple of hours away from this much anticipated testimony, and all eyes are really going to be on how Zuckerberg reacts to being grilled by lawmakers. Remember, by all accounts, including his own, he is not somebody who likes public speaking. Now, we've come to see sort of a pattern here as people come to testify on Capitol Hill. They usually apologize. They take responsibility. They say they're going to do better. Now, if his prepared remarks are any indication, Zuckerberg will fall in line.
Now, Facebook needs to talk with us, frankly, about how we can fix that.
Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg facing lawmakers on Capitol Hill.
If we don't watch out with social media and platforms like Facebook and the mistakes that they made in the past, then no American is going to have any privacy anymore.
Testifying in back-to-back sessions this week, the company receiving severe backlash after news a voter analytics firm hired by the Trump campaign was able to access information of tens of millions of users without their knowledge.
We do have two major problems we've discovered. One is the privacy issue, and the other is the propagandist issue.
According to prepared remarks, Zuckerberg is expected to apologize and take responsibility for the massive data breach.
Zuckerberg is scheduled to make his opening statement around 1 this afternoon.
To find out how to make your data on Facebook more secure, reporter Tia Teamer talks with an expert on social media security. Tia?
Thanks, Sean and Abigayle. Mark Zuckerberg, creator of Facebook, is testifying in front of Congress today about the misuse of Facebook users' data. Professor Lisa Collins, a professor at Loyola University, teaches social media strategies. So, Professor Collins, how do we protect our data?
So Facebook is making changes to protect user data, but really it's up to all of us to make sure that our data is used in the way that we want it to be used. So Facebook is free for us to use, but there's a trade-off. Facebook collects all kinds of information from us every time we log on, and they sell that to advertisers because advertisers want information to help target their messaging, and that's really valuable for Facebook. So that's how they make their money. So Facebook is telling its users if their data has been compromised, but even if you don't get that message, you should still check to be sure that your information is being used in a way that you're comfortable with. And the way to do that is to go on a laptop or desktop. You can't do it on your phone. Facebook makes it complicated. But you log on to your account and you go to settings and you go to apps. And there you can see all the apps that are collecting information. And I did this, and I was surprised. There are about 35 apps that are collecting information about me. And it's silly things like a Gilmore Girls quiz that I took years ago, right? It's something that I took and forgot about. But that app, it's still collecting information about me. So you have a couple choices. You can decide to disconnect from each app individually. You can contact the app developers and ask them to get rid of your data. You can deactivate your Facebook account, which is a temporary fix, or you can completely delete your Facebook account, which is a permanent thing. You can't change your mind.
So what do you think is next for Facebook?
So Facebook is in a really tough spot. This is really bad for Facebook. It looks really bad for Facebook. So they're on the offensive right now. Mark Zuckerberg is going to Congress, and he's going to say he's sorry and it's his fault. And it's true. He's taking the blame. He's taking the heat. Congress has tried to get him to testify for years, and this is the first time he's gone to the Hill to do that. But really, he's trying to keep Congress from regulating Facebook. He doesn't want all these rules to be put into place. So they are making some changes now that will better protect your data. But really, it's up to the consumer to make those changes themselves.
Thanks, Professor Collins. Back to you, Sean and Abigayle.
Thanks, Tia. Loyola's search for a new president continues. Reporter Miles Ruins joins us live from the Maroon office. Miles, what's the latest?
Sean, Abigayle, thanks. As PAC News previously reported, all three of the presidential finalists are non-Jesuits, a first in Loyola's history. I sat down with University chaplain Father Ted Dziak to talk about the search. Although Dziak is not on the search committee, he is one of the few staff who have been meeting with candidates representing the president's cabinet. Dziak gave me a hint about what everyone is wanting to know, when Loyola might be able to expect the new president to be chosen.
The process probably would be near its sort of final selection, because there's going to be a board meeting in mid-May, and my guess would be that the board at that meeting would probably vote on the next president.
Now, this board meeting is scheduled for Friday, May 18th, but no one will confirm that a new president will be announced then. Dziak does tell me that he's excited about the prospect of a lay president because it will show that anyone can be dedicated to the Jesuit mission of Loyola. Sean, Abigayle, back to you.
Thanks, Miles. We'll certainly be covering this story as it develops.
Loyola students break a new record by dancing through the night. So far, the Student Government Association has raised more than $27,000 in its third annual dance marathon. Students from across campus this past weekend put on their dancing shoes to raise money for the Children's Miracle Network hospitals. You can still donate online or in the Dana Center. Coming up after the break, sex ed for your teenager?
Plus, we have sunshine right now, but how long will it last? Davis Walden tells us later in our newscast. Stay tuned.
Hey, you.
Yeah, you. Getting that college education? What are you gonna do? Graduate and take some office job? Be like everybody else?
Or will you dare do something different?
Like, be a teacher. You could be my teacher. You got the skills.
The smarts?
Yes, you. You could be the teacher I never forget.
That'd be cool.
Does that corporate job even have recess? What are you gonna make of yourself?
What are you gonna make of me?
March for Our Life protesters plan to take the streets across the country, again this weekend to protest for stricter gun laws. You may recall, just a few weeks ago, thousands of protesters marched right here in New Orleans, demanding more regulations on guns. This weekend, protesters plan to set up empty chairs for Republican lawmakers who don't participate in the march.
Storytime happens in plenty of libraries across New Orleans. You know, where adults read to children. Davis Walden, however, takes us to one story hour that has quite an unusual twist.
This isn't your typical story time at the New Orleans Public Library. This story hour is hosted by drag queens with the purpose of introducing children to gender fluidity, where gender expression can shift between masculine and feminine, and can be displayed by how we dress, act, and describe ourselves.
I would hope that children watching this maybe remember this a few years down the line and go, oh yeah, I could, whether or not it's drag, you know, it could be anything, but just that empowered with that sense of the world is my oyster despite attempts of others to categorize or label.
This is the first time that Drag Queen Story Hour has been brought to New Orleans. Local theater company Southern Rep believes Drag Queen Story Hour is educational, and parents here agree.
He's a kid who likes to play with princess dresses. He likes to play with, what do you like to do? He likes to make art projects. And I love kind of considering that in this day and age, we can kind of continue that non-gendered play. I think it's really important.
Is a program that community members hope to see again and allow their children to experience. Davis Walden, PAC News.
Thanks, Davis. Southern Rep hopes to bring Drag Queen Story Hour monthly to this new audience.
Imagine a magazine where teenage girls get sex education, information on dealing with depression, and talk with top female leaders. That's exactly what one new local teen magazine is about, and so far, it's getting rave reviews.
We have a recipe, of course.
When Heidi Winston came to the U.S., she was shocked by the lack of sexual education available for teen girls. That's when she and her co-founder, Danielle Del Sol, sought to create a print magazine for girls with a health component behind it.
We decided that Go Girl should be a local magazine developed for and with teen girls in the community. And the purpose is to inspire, inform, inspire, engage, and empower teen girls in New Orleans.
Go Girl took 2 years before it launched, a ton of research, and $3,000 raised from a GoFundMe.
We want to deliver the quality that we think girls deserve, and that's what is feasible right now with the resources we have.
In Go Girl's first edition, they include stories like how to find your right bra size, the perspective of a trans middle schooler, and an interview with Mayor-elect Latoya Cantrell.
I feel like if girls read the magazine, it will be like they're not alone, that other girls like them could do the stuff in the magazine as well.
In addition to teen writers, there are experts too who contribute to the magazine, like Dr. Polite, who will answer questions about health in her column, Real Talk.
I have a huge commitment to girls in terms of sex ed education as well as contraception. So my thought process about how we change outcomes for young women is through education and through contraception.
Go Girl is available in all New Orleans public library branches, the Jewish Community Center, the Recreation Center, health clinics, and some schools. The next issue will be out this June.
Coming up, the Pelicans made it to the playoffs. Sports reporter Brian Wollitz will tell us what to expect this weekend.
And Davis Walden tells us how long we can expect to enjoy this nice weather.
Back to you, Lester.
Thanks, Taylor. And in our final story of the night, The Maroon has been ranked as one of the top student newspapers in the nation by the Princeton Review.
Welcome back. Well, we had some cold weather this weekend, but things look like they're looking up now.
Yeah, I hope this nice weather lasts. Davis, what can you tell us?
Well, it's going to last for a long while, so if we just go outside right now. As you can see, we are having a really nice 59 degrees over in Baton Rouge and 64 in Lakefront and in Kenner, which means that we are going to be staying like this temperature right now anyways. But coming up next, as you can see, we have like a lot of cold and cloud cover going on right now that's allowing us to have this weather. And unfortunately, that's going to be changing up as the week comes up later. Coming up next, as you can see, the pollen counts are actually going to be completely null. So if you have been having allergy problems lately, you won't be having to deal with that as much anymore. And tonight, we're going to be seeing temperatures of 50 and 55. These are going to be really cold temperatures with our sunset setting at 7:24 p.m. Now the 7 days that we have right now are going to be really warm. We have a spike up on Friday. It's going to go up to 82, and it's going to stay like that for a long while. So until it actually cools back down, we won't be seeing much of like this cold temperature anymore.
Awesome.
I'm ready for some festival weather. You know?
I'm not. I just wanted to stay cold like this all the time.
Well, are you stressed? We'll show you one student who's found the right note to relax.
And Loyola is looking for a new track coach. Brian Wollitz tells us why when we come back.
Oh, emojis! I thought the conversation just got dumber.
Ugh, internet trolls, just ignore them.
I like you just the way you are.
I believe in you!
She's a hugger. Give her a squeeze.
Help up the hand!
Ah, there you go. Thanks, mate.
You're killing it, Jane!
Welcome back. There was a pretty large shakeup apparently over in the track and field team.
Yes, I heard about it. Brian, what can you tell us about it?
That's right, some big news coming out of Loyola. Track and field head coach Nick Dodson is accepting a job at Southeastern University in Florida after coaching the Wolfpack for the past 2 seasons. During his time with the Wolfpack, he's coached the team to a second-place finish at the Southern States Athletic Conference Tournament just last season. And he's also been key in developing junior heptathlete Leah Banks' skills, who is the first ever All-American in Wolfpack program history.
Well, Coach Dodson has been a great impact to our team altogether. He's so motivational, he's inspirational, he's inspiring to all of us, and honestly, him leaving was a surprise, but we know that we ultimately will wish him the best in everything that he does. To me, Coach Dodson was more than a coach. He was a mentor, my inspiration, or one of my many inspirations. He was kind of a father figure for me. If I had to say anything to Coach Dodson, it would be literally nothing stops this train but us. We control our own destinies and we control our own blessings. And he ultimately has instilled in us a lot of values that I know I will carry on throughout my last year at Loyola and throughout the rest of my life. So I would ultimately say I'm grateful and thankful for him in my life.
Dodson will move to Lakeland, Florida at the end of the month and will be able to build Southeastern's track and field program from the ground up in the Fire's inaugural season. And during spring break, the rugby team road trip to Atlanta for the National Small College Rugby Organization playoffs, falling short in the South Cup final of the Sweet 16. As the champions of the Deep South Rugby Conference, the Wolfpack faced off against Georgia Rugby Union champions Valdosta State in the round of 32. The Wolfpack came away with the win, grinding out the 33-17 victory over the Blazers, advancing to the Sweet 16 just the next day.
2, 1, 3.
And on day 2, Loyola took on Dixie Collegiate Rugby champion Tennessee Tech for the South Cup title. But battered and cold, the Wolfpack weren't able to match their size and came up short to the Golden Eagles, losing the muddy matchup 55-22. But the Wolfpack season isn't over just yet. The team will travel across country to California, competing in the Jesuit Cup Rugby Sevens tournament for the 2nd year in a row, facing other Jesuit schools in the United States. And there's a new team in town, and it may look familiar to football fans, but the NOLA Gold are leaving the pads on the sidelines. The NOLA Gold are one of 8 professional rugby teams across the country competing in the first season of Major League Rugby. And I had a chance to catch up with them recently at one of their practices.
New Orleanians are known for their love of football, but NOLA Gold is bringing professional rugby to the Crescent City with big hits, big runs, and non-stop action.
Look, rugby's got it all. You know, it's got physicality, it's got technicality. You know, you've got to be fast, strong, powerful.
Players representing 7 different countries from across the globe flocked to the city to showcase their talents.
You know, we've got some guys from all different backgrounds and ethnicities, and you know, we're kind of like a wee bit of a melting pot.
Although the team is new, Howden feels the energy and excitement of the budding opportunity over on the West Bank.
We're called Gold for a reason, all right? And gold is strong, gold is tough, gold's unbreakable, gold comes first. It's going to be hard-hitting action. It's going to be a fan-filled experience. There's going to be, you know, there's going to be a lot of interaction between fans and young kids and the youth and the players. And you know, it's just an awesome thing to be a part of, especially in a great city like New Orleans.
Will kick off their season schedule on April 21st on the road against the Houston SaberCats, so we'll be sure to check them out when they get going. And lastly, the Pelicans are back in the playoffs for the first time since 2015. That's right, after last night's 113-100 road win against the Clippers, the Pelicans secured one of the final 8 spots in the Western Conference Finals playoffs. Take a look here as Nikola Mirotic creates the turnover on a block. Rondo takes it down court, alley-ooping to Anthony Davis, who's there for the Monster Jam off the backboard. And the Pels return to the court tomorrow night for their home closer against the San Antonio Spurs, which will determine their final seeding in the Western Conference playoffs. So big news for basketball fans here in the city. We'll be watching closely to see how the Pels finish. And once we have more, we'll be sure to check it out once the playoffs begin this weekend. And that's your sports for now. Back to you guys.
After the break, see how one Loyola student is on pitch for curing stress. Stay tuned.
The Donnelly Center has a lot of projects in store. Right now, we're working towards 10 clients this semester.
We're so excited about the clients we'll be working with in the Donnelly Center this semester.
Stay tuned for a more in-depth look at the departments in the Donnelly Center and what they're doing for nonprofits in New Orleans.
Work, school, stress is no stranger to students at Loyola University. Stress affects millions of people in the U.S. daily and continues to increase as reporter Anna Knapp tells us how one student at Loyola does everything he can to get back on track.
Music is said to soothe the soul. With soft sounds and deep breaths, Gary Bushy falls into his chair as he releases his stress of the day.
Relax those muscles. I tend to get sort of some muscle tension in the back of my neck and shoulders, and it's still there to some extent, but I think that, you know, the relaxation with the music helps.
Music therapy has been used for decades to alleviate the growing stress in adults and students. One published researcher, Dr. Kathy Murphy, has made it her job to change that.
If we're working with adults who are not hooked up to monitors, we're watching people's breathing, and we are taking the tempo of the music from the breathing. And we match tempo, and if somebody's breathing rapidly or shallowly, we try to slow their breathing down.
Anxiety is one of the most common mental illnesses in the United States. Studies have shown that music can help. Jacqueline McCarthy demonstrates some of the instruments they've used to help Bushy.
This is a nylon string guitar. It has a little softer sound, which is good for relaxation. It's not as piercing. And this is a frame drum. Put your fingers along it. It can kind of mimic the sound of waves.
Murphy says that they use environmental sounds to relax the patients, and they cater to what the patient likes in order for it to work.
It felt very relaxing, and it was a fairly easy transition back to an alert state.
Gary Bushy has tension daily, but now with a little bit of music, he can finally relax. Anna Knapp with Loyola News Service.
There are still classes coming up this month and next. They are free and open to students and faculty. And that just seems like a great idea to me. You know, music really does soothe the soul.
Yeah, the big news with Facebook, pretty crazy how they're just taking data. I'm excited to see what the outcome is after Zuckerberg goes up to Capitol Hill.
I mean, I don't even use Facebook anymore. I just use Instagram, so I think I'm good.
Okay, and that's all for now. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week.